Hey guys and girls, Aussie here, bringing you some more sweet StarCraft 2 action. This time it's coming to you from IEM Shenzhen at an awesome tournament that took place just the other day, and as you can see, all our Zerg fans out there are going to love it. It is a ZVZ, and when you see the players as they're introduced, you'll know why I could not resist casting this game. In the top left hand corner, as our red Zerg player, raise your dongers people, it's EG's Jaedong. The bottom right hand corner, as his opponent, one of the best foreign Zerg players in the world, it's going to be a LiquidSnute. So it will be a ZVZ on King Sejong Station between these two world-class players, and we are excited to see what they have in store for us today. Obviously, IEM Shenzhen, very important tournament. The winner of this tournament will get a seed to the IEM World Championship and some sweet prize money to go along with it. As we can see, it looks like Snute's being just a little devious here, throwing down his spawning pool first, and it's quite early. It was a 10 pool out of Snute, so very early pool. Jaedong on the other hand going for a much more economic opening. We'll probably see him throw down a 15 hatch. He does love going for those hatch first openings. Very rare will you see Jaedong throw down a pool this soon, particularly against Zerg opponents. Loves to play for the economic advantage. And we have Snute here just continuing to use every trick he can to fandangle a few extra supply, even throwing down the extractor trick. But what is a little bit terrifying for Jaedong actually is we got 4 Zerglings on the way already, and Jaedong's pool's nowhere in sight. He has in fact thrown down a 15 hatch here at his natural expansion, and this hatchery is going to come under fire very soon. We've got Zerglings pouring out, have 8 Zerglings on the way for Snute as he goes for his very quick aggression. 8 Zerglings on the way. Jaedong's pool is still 65 seconds away. He needs to buy himself some serious time. This expansion here on the low ground could well finish. I would say cancel, but I think this 10 pool timing from Snute is designed to arrive right as this expansion is finished. As you can see, already 60 seconds. And I think Jaedong is now being forced to make a very difficult decision. His overlords can see these Zerglings moving out. He can count them as they pass. No 6 or 8 Zerglings going to be more than enough to kill it. The question is, does Jaedong let it finish and waste the 300 minerals and allow these Zerglings to kill it, or does he cancel it to try and conserve resources? I think we may well see Jaedong let it finish here. Wants to buy some time to get his stuff finished in the main base. We don't have a whole lot of lava to turn into Zerglings. We've got a spawning pool here. Going to be essential to get that queen out as quickly as we can. Queen has started. A few Zerglings also in production here, though Jaedong has to be super careful, conserve every piece of lava he can, even making some Zerglings with the lava down at his natural expansion. Snute, no resources to expand just yet, following this up with more and more Zerglings. These Zerglings pour their way into the main base, trying to use those broodlings to some effect. There's spawning pool under fire from Jaedong, actually starting his speed now, which I gotta tell you is pretty bold, throwing that speed down while the spawning pool is almost completely surrounded by Zerglings. Things looking very dire for Jaedong here, even being forced to use some drones to try and get the edge in this engagement. Somehow it looks like Jaedong may actually hold this from having no spawning pool when the attack began. Jaedong's even throwing down his expansion. That's how confident he is that he will hold. His queen here going to be able to help defend if needed. First inject going down, that's very important. Snute obviously injecting as well. His queen likewise has finished, has his own speed on the way, well and truly behind that of Jaedong. But Jaedong managed to hold off that. Did lose extra resources, but arguably has those resources to lose. His economy was much better at the opening end of this game. And Jaedong actually counter-attacking across the map with a few Zerglings. His natural expansion halfway done, and Jaedong somehow has gone from that early defensive desperation to quite a commanding position in this game. Snute does have a supply edge here, and his Baneling nest is almost finished, so Jaedong not going to be able to break him anytime soon, but Jaedong will be fighting from behind for the time being. Snute looking like he wants to put on some one base pressure. He has got that Baneling nest finished up. I imagine we will see some Banelings on the way, and here they are at the bottom of the ramp. The real question is, what will Snute use this expansion for? Is he going to be producing Zerglings with it, or will he try to drone up? Jaedong's expansion now finished, well and truly ahead of that. Snute's still only halfway done, going to be 70 seconds behind and several injects, as you can see. Queen up in Jaedong's main, a second queen at the top of the ramp, and a third queen at the expansion. So Jaedong very cleverly has continued producing queens. He knows he wants to play defensively. His base obviously finishing first, knows he has the economic edge in this game. All he needs to do is hold on to it. These queens going to block the ramp, ensure nothing sneaks up into that main base. Though we have a lot of banelings morphing in at the bottom of the ramp, so things are going to get very dicey for Jaedong. Throwing down another spine crawler. Love this choice from Jaedong. Second one in range of the ramp. This is a very tight defense from Jaedong. For those of you who are wondering, these queens are going to give him a massive edge potential to transfuse indeed. Ooh, clutch transfusion. Save that spine crawler. 4 banelings going to be able to take that out, but these zerglings will not break the ramp here. We have plenty of reinforcing zerglings from Jaedong, picking off the zerglings of Snute as they try to make their way across the field, forcing those banelings to try and fall back to get a connection. But Snute just unable to make it work with his early aggression. Those banelings will detonate, but looks like Jaedong will hold, and hold quite convincingly here with these queens. Now I love that. There's a brilliant choice for Jaedong when you're a Zerg player and you know that you're going to be playing defensively. There is no reason not to throw out those extra queens. It conserves lava. You're able to use the lava on drones instead of on zerglings, and it allows you to still build units that can defend, have a ranged attack, and can just make life very difficult. These zerglings in Snute's base continuing to try and be a pest, but a baneling will take all of those out. We check out the units lost tab, almost dead even between these two players. Unfortunately for Snute, Jaedong's income is, well, actually, surprisingly, Snute's income actually has an edge on Jaedong at the moment. He's managed to sneak out a couple of extra harvesters here, which is pretty impressive despite the level of aggression he's put on. Jaedong's defense here going to be very strong indeed, and it looks like both players may well stabilize and move towards a much more regular sort of mid-game. These Zerglings going to pick away at the banelings. Unfortunately, the baneling's not going to get the detonations they want. This kamikaze Zergling will take out the baneling, but much to his own detriment there, as he explodes in lovely baneling juices. Jaedong here continuing to drone up quite confidently. We have a lair on the way for Snute. Jaedong, I don't believe, has thrown it down, still sitting on hatch tech as he drones up and plays quite defensively. Creeps red getting going here. Snute with a third base, as well as Jaedong in the fairly standard location. Snute actually taking that third ahead of Jaedong, so trying to get back in this game. If we look at the supplies, we can see there is a relatively even game here. Income tab shows that Snute has a decisive advantage, but Jaedong's supply is all tied up in army, which is this massive herd of Zerglings making its way across the field here. This third base could potentially be in massive trouble. A few banelings going to rush down to try and deal with this. Jaedong, though, excellent control, going to be falling back away from those banelings. You see that control, used the Zerglings to wear it down, but still pulled them back before the killing blow. This is the phenomenal control that we're used to seeing out of Jaedong. These banelings making their way towards each other. 2 banelings in the mineral patches. Oh, massive detonation there as 6 drones die in that baneling explosion. Oh, second explosion. These drones are so low. Another baneling could just absolutely make it a money shot. There's so many Zerglings here as banelings chase them on creep. This looks like some sort of bizarre form of arcade game as Zerglings and banelings bounce off every surface. It looks like Snute will hold without taking too much further damage. 10 workers were killed in those engagements, but both our players managing to hold on by the seat of their pants. 50 harvesters each, and the game's well and truly tied up here as both players trying to trade Zerglings as efficiently as possible. Jaedong defending with a queen and a spine crawler. Going to make life very tough for these Zerglings, but the problem with Zerglings is you let them go for even a second and they're in your worker line killing workers, so you need to be super careful. A few banelings here just in reserve for Jaedong, just in case there is any large Zergling run by. Creep spread from Jaedong, quite impressive. Snute likewise, 5 tumors moving things forward. Jaedong will be throwing down an overseer, so going to get a good idea of what Snute is actually up to. And surprisingly, we haven't seen many roaches to this point, though the roaches now on their way. Jaedong's are on the field. We have the missile attacks and roach speed on the way for Snute, so Snute going to be producing some roaches of his own, and we'll progress into a very roachy mid-game for both these players. 3 bases up and saturated. We could be seeing roach all day, every day for the rest of this game. Of course, that is what the ZVZ metagame has very much developed into at the moment. Roach is very popular, and for those of you who've heard Roddy cast lately, you gotta believe in the power of the roach, baby. Everyone loves their roaches, and they are a great, very cost-effective unit. Once your opponent grabs roaches in a ZVZ, you're left with a few choices. You can't stay on Zergling and Baneling Tech. You've either got to go for roaches yourself, try to grab mutas, which is a dangerous choice. Mutas are very good for giving you the map control, but the question is, can you actually kill the roaches off quick enough, or will they just focus down your important tech structures before you can kill them? Few Zerglings scouting for the potential 4th base. Snute has a few overlords here though, no hatch, so these Zerglings will be just that little bit disappointed, particularly as the Ursadat calf just looks longingly at the pack, wanting to join in the fun, but unfortunately he's not a Zergling, certainly can't keep up. The Zerglings will potential to focus down a queen here, but the remainder of Jaedong's roach is going to barrel in here. Spinecrawler going to help hold those off. Gotta be careful, Snute's roaches may bite off more than they can chew. The upgrades here quite even between both our players, +1 missile attack upgrades. Carapace maybe finished for Snute quite a while before it's finished for Jaedong, so Snute actually should be keen to engage in the next 10 to 30 seconds, but Jaedong pulling right back with those roaches, continuing to produce them though. On the other hand, Snute, no more roaches on the production tab. The question is, will he go for something else? We have a few queens in production, those centrifugal hooks actually coming down for Snute, which I think is an interesting choice, particularly since the game has moved into the roach phase of thing. I think that's a slightly odd timing for Snute to be grabbing that upgrade. 8 more roaches now on the way, 12 for Jaedong, and the supplies just rush towards max for both our players. Macro hatch in Jaedong's main base going to allow him to get quite a lot of units out quite quickly. We have this engagement shape up in the middle of the map as roaches endeavour to chase roaches and are traded for each other. We actually have Snute dropping those rocks. He's going to do a great job of pinning these roaches here. The remainder of Jaedong's roaches can't actually get in here to engage, and Snute getting a fantastic angle on these. Got to be careful that he himself does not get pinned in this corner. Snute's roaches managed to finish off Jaedong's roaches in the corner, but the remainder of Jaedong's forces make their way around and manage to pincer these few roaches. It looks like Snute's going to drop in supply to 150 as Jaedong hurtles back up towards max. 11 more roaches on the field. Zerg missile attacks level 2 finishing up now for Jaedong, and things are looking very, very scary for Snute as these 2-1 roaches barrel towards him. That upgrade seconds away from finishing. That's going to give him a decisive edge in this engagement. He is completely maxed out though, many of his roaches still walking across the field, and Jaedong's just going to go for it. Knows he's got the upgrade advantage, just going to pile on here. A few queens with transfuse would be nice, but it looks like Snute can't spare those. They're very busy doing their injects. Unfortunately, they can't commit to this battle, but Jaedong will. He jumps on top of Snute's force. He is taking quite a lot of damage from this Spinecrawler, but it looks like Jaedong will have enough supplies. 170 supply to 130. Things could well be it here and now for Snute. We even have Jaedong contaminating the hatchery. Just complete utilization of all his force in this field. More and more roaches stream across the field. Unfortunately, looks like Jaedong has the edge here. I don't think there's anything Snute can do to wrestle this one back, and Snute calls a GG in what was a crazy back and forward ZVZ between these two great players. Hope you guys enjoyed. If this is your first time on the channel, we hope you subscribe. We have plenty more 6 StarCraft action coming up right after this, so don't go anywhere. Plenty more to cast. So this was actually a massive series between these two. We have a lot more ZVZ we can cast, so I want to keep things. I don't want to cast 5 ZVZ and then 3 or 4 TVP in a row. I want to mix it up with lots of different games from different series, so don't be surprised if we chop back and forward between series. I want to give all our fans out there something to watch this weekend, so we'll be seeing some more Protoss and Terran action to go with all the Zerg shenanigans we've had thus far. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please tune in here at Aussie StarCraft, and we'll catch you in the next cast.